This is going to be the final part 3 of the series, Breaking the Fear Barrier. Now, it has to do with my past in a country that was at war. And there's a bunch of stuff going on right now that affects your life, and especially to the younger viewers that I'm talking to now. It affects your mental health. It affects the way you think about the world, and it's going to, seep into the choices you make, even if it's subconscious. The state of the world as it is right now is energies that are all mixed up. There are crossed wires everywhere, and that is deliberate. It's a bunch of lies, it's a bunch of manipulation, and unfortunately, that's where our society is right now. The whole reason I do this channel is because when I was young, I figured things out that most kids my age didn't know, except the ones that were with me where I was. And even then, it was hard for them to cope with, meaning they knew it, they understood it, but they had to detach from it. Now that war was smaller, and it was in the United States. It was thought that the war in Nicaragua, the Contra War in the 1980s, it was said to the American people they were just supposed to be supporting some little civil war down in Central America. They called them the freedom fighters, and they had a whole story. But that war was actually served a purpose, as do all wars. And it's not the purpose that you are told they are serving. So the wars right now are serving a purpose other than what whoever's talking about it, especially if it comes from this government, this administration, they are not giving you truth. There is always a hidden agenda. And yeah, I sound like I really don't care what I sound like. This is from my personal experience. I'm talking about what I've seen, heard, done, people I've talked to. That war was to cover up some stuff that Ronald Reagan did. That's what that war was. It was a skirmish between the guard of an old dictatorship and the revolutionary government that kicked him out. Saying is, nothing about it that was said or described in the United States was true. And so I'm very painfully aware that the wars of today, with the same people that were involved in the Nicaraguan war, they were far away from that war. The war was used to fulfill a deal with the people that we are now in war with. When I was down there in Nicaragua, the United States had to make sure that country was under control, under their control, because they had a lot of laundering they had to do through the country of weapons, of money, of substances. When I was there, the third week I had been in the country, I was sitting in my world history class, and there was a huge loud boom. It sounded like an explosion. I thought bombs had been dropped. Literally, that's what I thought. I was shocked. I was scared to death. I couldn't breathe. I thought, this is it. I've only been here 3 weeks, and already I'm a goner. We're all goner. But everybody around me in my classroom said, no, Allison, calm down. Because they didn't flinch. They didn't show any fear whatsoever. They said that was American military jets that were breaking the sound barrier because it makes that sound, and they think it scares us. They think. So that's when that day the dragon in me was born. I was infuriated. To me, As a 15-year-old, I didn't know much about war or things like that. So they flew over in the skies above Managua, and they broke the sound barrier. And it was to scare people, and it was also to send the message of we're in charge, we're calling the shots, you're going to do what we say. We're pretending we have nothing to do with this war, and we're just helping these poor little assassins over here. No, they were all over that. They were all over it. They needed that country, so they had to make sure that everybody was afraid of them, so that they would let them get away with what they needed to get away with, which is all illegal. There's a lot more to it, but I won't drag you through it. But I learned that day what bullies governments are. My government and other governments. The ones that have the most power, the most money, the most to hide. Because this is about secrets, secret agendas, things that happen that are now coming out. They're just now beginning to come out. The trickle of, of what soulless, heartless humans that do still live on this planet do to humanity in small numbers and in the whole 9 billion almost. There is so much hidden, so much. Um, we've all seen the picture of the iceberg. That is the perfect metaphor because that little tiny island of ice that floats above the water is where we all think we live. And if you look under the water, there is a chunk of ice that is 10, 20, 50, 100 times bigger than the little island of ice we live on up above in the air. Underwater, it is egregious. There are things happening on this planet to this day that are unacceptable. That's why I'm doing. I can't see a future where kids who are taught lies and to behave a certain way, the expectations of society as it is today. I can't see you having a future that's any better than this if you don't hear things early on. If I hadn't learned things early on, I wouldn't have noticed everything else I learned throughout my life. Humans are catching on. There are humans who are starting to go, wait, 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 wait. But because I learned early, I want to help teens, young adults, college age kids into your 30s, whatever it is, people who still have a future ahead of them. Because if this is the future that you inherit, what will you do? Well, I don't expect you to trust me. What I'm giving you is stuff to think about. And if you're curious enough, you'll look into it yourself. And if you have questions, you're welcome to ask me. But I'm not going to try and convince you of anything. When I was in that country and I was very young, it infuriated me that we were such bullies, that we that they would lie to Americans and say, "Oh, we're just going to give them a little money," ended lives and shot up the kids that my mom worked with. That's why I was always coming home to kids that had missing body parts, head to toe, and it was because the the people that were in Honduras, because the war was done on the border, and the people in Honduras, the Contra, targeted civilians. And they planted landmines. Sometimes I didn't know if my mom was going to come home because she went to get the kids in the war zone. My parents taught me humanitarianism, and I think globally. My life is nothing like theirs was because it was very hard for me as a teenager, as a depressed teenager. as hard. And then all of these fear tactics are happening. They happened regularly. And so I became like the rest of the kids. We hear the loud boom and just go, nobody flinched. Nobody was a. Nowadays, they have much higher technology ways of scaring people. But so in small countries, in countries who can't defend themselves, who get caught up in the secret agendas because all the laundering that has to take place goes on in the poorest countries, and the people of those countries pay the price for having to keep all these secrets because energy, man. People who are scared spread fear. And that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to spread fear, only this wasn't on the ground. This wasn't like all the spies and all the dealers and all the people keeping the secrets. This was something that happened in the air, and everybody just went, that's annoying. But but the point is that they broke the sound barrier for the purpose of fear. And I then took that and did a wordplay on it. I named the tactics the fear barrier, meaning it was fear caused purposefully to control the masses, mutilate humanity. It's ancient. It's been done for thousands of years, and in the last 100 years, it's been changing all along. It's been, altered to fit modern times. So now we're to the point where it's deadly. It's not just causing fear; it's causing death. But little countries get uh, fear barriers that are in your face, loud booms, threats. That's bullying. It's beyond bullying, but that's the only word I know to use without swearing. I'm trying to be appropriate because I want kids. I want teenagers. I want young people to see this. But this is important, man. This is serious stuff. They bully you too if you live in a first world country. Because I'm talking to the whole world. I'm not just talking to the U.S. U.S. is where I'm from, but I am a global citizen. I I consider the whole of humanity when I make my choices and when I speak. And I'm speaking about the future of humanity, especially the youth, humanity's youth, because this mess is going to be inherited by you. You're going to be the ones who have to clean this up, rebuild what has to come down. It's coming down already. That's why we have all the big blow up, because secrets are coming out, and the bigger the secrets and the more fearful, because they're scared too. The more fearful these still holes are about their secrets coming out, the bigger the distractions and the bigger the fights and the bigger the war. If you're paying attention, if you're in the United States, because I think it's mostly Americans that would see this, the United States has lost its reputation. So they use bully tactics. They bully small countries with big loud booms, but in the United States it's different. They bully you with your job, what jobs are available, what opportunities you get, how much money you're allowed to earn, the resources that are available to you. They withhold resources. This planet provides everything we could need, no matter how many people are on the planet. There is so much space on this planet that is not occupied, that is growing, but they are shredding it. Corporations and governments are shredding this planet. But there are still enough resources to go around. They withhold it. This is part of the fear barrier. The fear barrier in the United States, for example, is to make people worried, stressed, anxious, panic attacks. They get panic attacks Everybody is stressed to the max about how to keep what little they have or what big amounts they have, how to keep it, how to how do they make their lives better instead of watch it slip through their fingers like sand. They withhold resources. They cut programs that are meant to help the population. It's dwindling. And that is on purpose, and that is to make you feel nervous, to make you feel scared, to make you feel powerless. And when people are powerless and cornered and frightened, they turn on each other. And that is also part of the fear barrier, is that if we're fighting amongst ourselves, we're not watching them. And so they've got political parties fighting, they've got people fighting against each other on the based on race, based on religion, based on belief systems, based on whatever they can throw in to the blaming each other mix. And so the fear barrier in the United States is that there's a curtain all the way around the country. It's opaque and it is soundproof. You cannot see what's happening truthfully outside of the borders of the United States, even in Hawaii, Alaska, Puerto Rico, wherever it is that belongs to the states. You are fed what they need you to believe, what they need you to see, what suits them and their purpose, their agenda in the moment. And that is the fear barrier that needs to be broken. If they can break the sound barrier to cause fear, we can break the fear barrier by understanding, with knowledge, with accepting what evidence there is of truth, and understanding that most of what we're told is not the truth. It isn't. I was someplace where they were lying about it and they were saying things happened that didn't happen. I was there. It's a tiny country. I know things that they said were not happening that were happening. And that's a tiny little scale because now all of that has gotten way out of control. They throw out distractions. They get us so worked up, nervous that we're not going to be able to make enough money, that we're going to lose our house, we're going to lose our job. When you're jobless, you can't find a good job that's going to give you enough money. It's a squeeze. They're squeezing the life out of Americans, the happiness out of Americans, and other countries do it too, in their own ways. You don't get the truth about what's happening outside of your borders. You get what they tell the news anchors to say. The iceberg, the part of the iceberg we live on, is a facade. Now, I know that makes it sound like the country is a big lie. It's like the Truman Show. There are people playing parts and there are people who think it's real. Ultimately, it's a superficial facade we are all participating in because it's the American dream. We're all trying to. I had to fight my mental health to get jobs that I would work 2 and 3 at a time because that's how much money I needed. And you get your education. It took me 8 years to get a 4-year degree because my mental health kept putting me in the hospital. And I'd get up and I'd recover and I'd go back and I'd do it some more. So I was trying to work in my health field. My degree is in health education. So I was trying to use that, but in a job that would give me enough money to be independent because all I wanted to do was be independent. Live on be proof that I could do it. I could do it all. But they squeeze you. But right now, what I want you to know is that there is a fear barrier in the United States. There is a squeeze happening to everyone to make sure that you cannot create the life they tell you you're supposed to go for. I just can't be silent about this stuff. I can't not fill you in early so that you know ahead of time what you're facing. Because There are huge changes going on the planet, and they are energetic. But the energy on the whole planet is changing, and people are starting to be uncomfortable with pretending they don't know. Because even if they don't know the facts, they can feel that something is not right. And more people can't sit with it. They can't stand feeling changes are happening. There are very good things happening on this planet. And I am a result of those changes. I was done for. My illness, my depression was the odds were against me making it through to this point where I am now. But I took advantage of that energy. I used that energy to lift myself up, to fight the problems I was having that I know some of you are having. And it was hard, and it took a lot of work, and it took a few years for me to really get my feet under me again. But it's possible. And this is just the beginning. So keep imagining that things are getting better. They really are. But it's overshadowed, and it's overshadowed on purpose. They need people to look at the big fire over there and the people screaming. Because when there's a war, the leaders don't get hurt. They're behind desks or in bomb shelters or wherever they are, calling the shots. The people that get hurt are the civilians, the population, the kids in schools, the people in hospitals. That's who gets hurt. The leaders are one-upping each other by harming, either in a lethal way or in a change your life because your body will never be the same kind of way. The thing is, there are people like you and me who are very intuitive and are very underestimated and are quite brilliant. We don't like to rattle things. We don't like to rock the boat. But I need to get this out first. And then we're going to get to the solution and the innovation and the creativity and the critical thinking. The ideas that will rebuild society because it's going to be during your turn, your time, that rebuilding needs to happen. So you don't have to do it now. I'm giving you like advanced notice that when you're thinking about what you want to do in life, what you want to study, what you want to be, think about what will help if you're willing. Think about what will help humanity, what will help society to rebuild and stabilize, because we are perfectly capable of thriving. We are extremely powerful, and I mean power. And some of you know what I mean, and some of you don't, and that's okay because you too are powerful. And when your time comes and you're ready, you will know what I was talking about. We are powerful, and they know it, and that's why fear barrier is used to keep us squashed, to keep us from understanding how very powerful we actually are, especially in large groups. If humans were to get together, we would be ending this stuff because we would be a group that was so big that nobody could work against us anymore. We have been separated, divided, split up. It's like they know that if we get together and we agree, they're done for. And so they make sure that there are problems, keeping us all divided and fighting. And that is what is going to need repair and rebuilding. Even people who have a lot of money are scared. Everybody's scared. This fear barrier thing I'm talking about is what we need to break. We need to stop fearing losing things. Holding on to things is our weakness. It's one that they exploit. Just because something's hard doesn't mean you don't do it. It means that you have to pace yourself. You have to be patient, do it a little at a time until it's done. And now, because I learned so much that now I can help you. So break the goddamn fear barrier. It means don't let yourself be scared into lives that drain you. that squash you, that squeeze you when it's not necessary. There are other ways, there are other options. Think of how you want to feel. Break the fear barrier. I'm no longer afraid. I will not fear those stupid dill holes. No, they have run this world into the ground, and now I want to help you know how to rebuild it, how to figure it out, what ideas can be thought of when this stuff has to be cleaned up because the change is happening. Good changes are happening, and the only way I would say that bad change is happening is that bad is coming out. It's being exposed, and there's more to expose. And the people who have that energy, who are hiding things, they are going to fight tooth and nail, and they're not going to fight with their own lives. They're going to fight with other people's lives, and they're going to destroy things, make big, 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 big fires to distract you from what's happening. And so there will be domestic cleanup, and there will be rebuilding that's got to be done. And all I'm working with here, this energy I'm trying to help you feel, is how does that look? How does it? How does the society you want to live in look? How do you feel about war, about humanity? Who are you willing to stop giving your money to, as in corporations that are doing harm to the planet? And I'm talking on a bigger scale, more than just a green leaf on a box that symbolizes that it's good for the planet. I'm talking about corporations, like 12 corporations that own everything you buy and put that money into war. You get me? I will not buy from certain corporations unless I have to, and even then I cry if I have to. But we got to do something. We got to get the healing thoughts. There's all kinds of ways to heal things. Even technologically, there are things that are withheld that could be helping people, but there are other corporations, industries that make too much money off of sick people to let them not be sick. So let's think about ideas. Break this goddamn fear barrier and start thinking how you're going to take care of yourself, how you're going to focus on your own well-being, and then how you're going to co-create, how you're going to team up with other humans with ideas like yours to make things balanced and harmonious. Balance and harmony, that's where we should be going in my mind. My life went from disharmony and imbalance to harmony and balance. And if I know other people who've done it too. It's not like I'm the only one. It's a fad. It's a thing. It's a thing. Imagine if everybody did that. Imagine if phoenixes were rising across the horizon. Where would we go? What would we do? Where would you go? What would you do? Wouldn't you like to be able to travel safely? Wouldn't you like to be able to travel and not spend so much money? That's it. Trust your intuition. Practice your intuition. And I'm gonna make videos about the lighter stuff now, the good changes, the stuff that helped me, because there's more, and the stuff that can help the planet. You know stuff. You will spread. Like even if you get any energy of like, yeah, I want to help. I want to help the earth. I want to help humanity. I want to help my block. I want to help my school. I want to help my friends. Do it. That's what I'm talking about. Break the fear barrier. Let's get this rebuilt. I'll still be here because I just started living my best life. The best part of my life just began, and I'm in it to win it for all of us. So that'll do it. Allie out.